message. Ichiche's limbs shake and stutter, unclear movements muddled by unclear signals. They turn in place, reaching behind to stop Nicholas from plugging in a power cable. Nicholas frowns and shakes his head. You need energy. You can't keep saying no. Ichiche shakes their head. The light in their eye flickers, cycling pixelated color patterns in glitched waves. Their functions are deteriorating. The once subtle movements of their face and eyes spasm and catch. Their head jerks back and forth, their spinal cables clicking at the limits of movement. This is not good. Nicholas sighs, putting down the cable after a few attempts. I've always thought of myself as a parent, but now I can say I understand how one must feel when their child is sick. The worry is exhausting. Is this what happens when their power supply is running out? Can't they just go into a sleep cycle? Astrid asks over Nicholas's shoulder. Since the Orwell took on new crew members, she's been following him around, learning as much as she can about his creation. Ichiche's functionality decreases every day, and they refuse to be connected by any cable. Yes, I mean, they should. They've never refused power supply before. I wish I could run some diagnostics, but they won't let me look. It's like they're refusing food or medicine. How long does it take them to run out of power? Can't we just wait until they shut down and see what's going on? This may seem silly, and I know Ichiche is still a machine, but Ichiche's voice distorts into a digitized mess of non-vocal sounds, soft and low, almost like a whimper. Nicholas remembers their scream when they were turned on without limbs. He remembers their panic. I don't want to shut them down. I feel inadequate. I'm not equipped to fix them. Nicholas's voice starts to quiver. I write code and I look at lines of code. I'm not a robotics engineer. Nicholas sits down, leaning back against the wall of the restroom. He sighs and closes his eyes. Astrid frowns, looking into the intercom button on the wall. I wish Laren would come out of his cave for a second. He could tell you how to fix something just by looking at it, she says. Could you all just Hen, covered in blankets and squirming in his seat, tries to speak through chattering teeth. Shut the fuck up! He can't sit still. Every few seconds, he pushes the blankets off and then covers himself again. He's been like this since he woke up. Decades of amphetamine abuse left his nerves blown out. Self-inflicted wounding that only got worse when Doral left. Doral's avoided him since he was brought on the ship. His presence is tolerated, but not pitied. As his withdrawal worsens, his outbursts become more frequent. Nicholas glances at him in periphery, avoiding eye contact, nervously switching between observation of Ichiche and morbid curiosity for Hen. Astrid, unafraid and more accustomed to seeing the effects of substance abuse, confronts Hen. Can I get you something? Can I help? She asks with pursed lips, arms crossed. Hen sheepishly recoils. No, I'm so sorry. It's just, Hen scratches his arms and neck. Fucking bugs, man. Astrid looks down at a man she once admired. The idea of Hen proved to be much larger than the reality. However brilliant he is, he's still made of parts that can break down. Bit by bit, he snorted his nerves away, escaping to the blank spots in his brain at the speed tore open. She looks back at Ichiche. Both the mechanic and the robot share a similar fate. What kind of connective system did you use when developing the case for the software? She asks. Actually, it's quite ingenious. The hardware is developed using fiber optics, but the material used in the connective tissue is unique to this project. It's incredibly difficult to mimic the human nervous system, but I believe we've come very far. Do you think it's possible those connections are damaged? Possible, yes, but again, I'm not a mechanical engineer. The best way for me to... Nicholas is interrupted by Ichiche, who spasms and throws their arms wide around in circles. The limits of their movements scrape and whine as their sockets are twisted beyond capacity. A clawed hand slaps Nicholas in the face, cutting his cheek and smashing his glasses against the wall. Error message. Echiche whimpers digitally. Their face shows moments of remorse through cycling expressions. Does it have self-diagnostics? Hen stutters, rocking back and forth. Yes, as standardized, they're part of a billion-dollar project. I don't care how much it costs. Why? Hen stops talking, frustrated by his tremors. He waves to the room to bring him something to write on. Astrid sighs and hands him a messaging tablet. Hen hunches over and begins typing quickly. He hands the tablet back to Astrid. Why can't you just ask it what's going on? Astrid reads. She rolls her eyes. I'm used to engineers referring to Echiche as it, but I will not suffer that from you. Even if they just communicate with error messages, they are much more intelligent than you could comprehend. Just because they don't work like a lever or a gear, Nicholas begins admonishing Hen, who waves for the tablet back. After a few moments of tapping, he hands it back to Astrid. If they're so smart, why don't you think they're communicating the problem already? Nicholas squints his eyes at Echiche, trying to focus without his glasses. He looks at the cables in his hand and puts them down. He backs away as Echiche closes their eyes, suddenly becoming calm and serene. Their shaking, wild movements become small twitches and quivers. They sit in a meditative pose and cease movement. There's only one place I can think of where I might be able to figure this out. These, Nicholas motions to the room and walls, quilted mechanics made of found material. These facilities are inadequate for diagnosis. I need to go back to the city. Astrid's eyes widen. You mean HD4, don't you? HD4, Hyperdome 4, the largest environmentally controlled biodome in North America, home to the largest trash field in the world. Yes, I know this may be a burden, but Astrid bounds over to the intercom and taps the screen excitedly. L! Tell the engine room to push green. We know where we're going.
Yeah!
Yeah.